Hi, this is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and we're back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week we talk about how to love ourselves, others, and higher nature, how to improve our finances, career, relationships, spirituality, and health. And today we have a very great topic, which a lot of people often think about, which is called traveling. And of course, with the pandemic, a lot of people are not able to travel as much, but we've got two great people here that are going to talk about the idea of traveling, how to save your marriage and transform your life. Dave and Deb. Dave Bauskill and Deborah Corby, Corbet, I think it's Corbet, are two internationally renowned travel bloggers. They've won gold medals for their blogging and also have been voted by Forbes as a top 10 travel influencers. Before that, Dave and Deb were in the movie industry and TV industry, respectively, in Canada. And then they were struggling with their marriage and bored with their life and overworked. So a friend told them to travel, and they went to Thailand and had a rejuvenation and then started this great travel blog. They've been in over 115 countries in 7 continents over the last 13 years. And Planet D, their blog, reaches millions of readers every day on how to enjoy life through travel. Welcome to the show, Dave and Deb.
Oh, thank you so much for
wonderful introduction.
Thank you. Okay. And then Planet D, I guess, is because you guys are Dave and Deb, right? So you use the D as that.
We started our blog way back in 2007 is when we named it, and
Yes.
we were huge fans of The Lonely Planet. We always traveled using that book, the
Yes.
Bible, The Lonely Planet Bible.
Yes,
and we went, I wanted something, we're named Dave and Deb, so we called ourselves the Planet D.
I see. Now,
Nice and easy.
Aldous Huxley said that to travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other people's countries. And we know that there are a lot of benefits. We're going to talk about the benefits of traveling psychologically as well as physically and spiritually. But you said you guys were struggling in your marriage. You said that you were overworked in your professions. You had been kind of disconnected. Yeah. And in 2004, on the advice of a friend, you went to Thailand. You had a marvelous experience. And then you did a Tour d'Afrique, which sounds like a bicycle race through Africa. You guys won some awards doing that. And that changed your life.
Did.
You started the blog. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that all come into play?
Yeah, so when we decided to take that trip to Thailand, we were both we were really in a rut, our relationship big time, because we were both working crazy hours. We both worked in the film industry, but we worked on different movies and different shows, so we never really saw each other. And we were just in this rut of basically, going from day to day and not really having any fun anymore. And it was like we were getting to a point where we're like, we need to do something to change this. So when a friend of Deb's suggested that we go to Thailand, because for me, I didn't really want to go to someplace exotic. At that point in my life, I was like, I could go to an all-inclusive and lay on a beach and drink beer and I'd be happy. But then I remember her coming home with these photos that her friend Lana actually showed her, and I was instantly sold. I was like, wow, this could be completely amazing. It was so I was really excited to get out there and try it. And it really was a trip that completely changed our life. And I'll let Deb talk a little bit about that. But it's something that I always say is, if we hadn't have done that trip back then, I don't think we would be together today.
Wow.
So that's how much impact it had.
Deb, you're constantly smiling. You look like you're very happy. What's your secret of happiness?
I just love listening to Dave speak.
Oh, is that? Okay. And then traveling, but actually you're not traveling now. You just told me you guys are in a lockdown in Canada. So is your happiness finished now? You can't travel, or what's going on?
You know what? We can't travel right now, but we're still doing well. The weather's changing. We have some nice spring-like weather out here, and we're planning to get out again in the coming months. So, but travel isn't everything for us now. We were traveling for 10 years full time, and it's nice to be. It's actually been nice to have a little bit of grounded at home and have a little bit of a routine. So we still want to travel a lot, but I find once you find what you love to do with your life, it makes everything okay. So,
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And also they say that 97%.
Sorry, I
go ahead.
say that we're people of extremes. So once we do an about face and we change things, like when we left and we started traveling full time, we sold everything we owned. We sold our house. Yes. It was a major change. And then we were on the road for all that time.
Yes.
And then now that when we come back, we really dove into being back here as well. So we're like 150% to, 100 miles in a 60 zone. That's the way we roll.
I was going to say that, 96% of people who travel say that planning actually gives them happiness. So just thinking about traveling is a positive. Now, I wrote a book
Yeah.
called Love Types. It's on Myers-Briggs personality types and relationships, and they're different like personalities. For example, there's a security seeker that's like person likes tradition, responsibility, and and security. And then we have the excitement seekers, people that like to do spontaneous things and change their life. You sounds like you guys might be a little bit of excitement seekers. Do you see yourself as that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. We are people who are like, when we get bored with our lives,
Yes.
then we instantly want to change them or do something
Yes.
to completely change it and get ourselves out of the rut. And that trip back then was sort of the kickstart of that.
Yes.
And I don't think we even realized it until we were on the road that we were these kind of people.
Yes.
And now that we took that trip, we're like, I can't wait to shift gears and do things differently. And of course, being able to do it with my wife is incredible.
I see. It kind of reminds me of
Yeah,
go ahead.
we like to jump head first into everything.
Okay. Kind of reminds me of a spy movie, a comedy where the husband and wife were like conventional people, and then all of a sudden one of them becomes a spy or something, and then they have these great adventures, and they have a lot of fun. Remember, you guys are spies.
Yeah.
And you said you said you've been to the top, I guess, of Mount Kilimanjaro and to the bottom of the world in the Antarctica. So you've been like amazing places. What's the one place that sticks out in your head right now as memories? And by the way, travelers say that memories from traveling is one of the most positive things they have in their life. Tell me one memory that really of the most beautiful thing.
Ooh, one of the most, I always go to this one memory that we had in Sri Lanka when we made friends with a tuk-tuk driver. And if anybody has traveled, they know that a lot of times tuk-tuks are when you're getting a tuk-tuk, it's a lot of like haggling and you're feeling like you're going to get ripped off all the time. And I remember having our Lonely Planet book with us, and they said a tuk-tuk should cost this amount of money.
Well, what is a tuk-tuk? Is that the guys that carry you or something? Or what is
They're a little three-wheeler. They're like a rickshaw. They're like a rickshaw with motors, but with motors.
Yes.
And we held this guy and asked him to bring us to town, and he quoted the exact price in the Lonely Planet. We were like, this is fantastic. Okay. And because he was so honest and he was such a nice guy, we were a month in Sri Lanka. We ended up using him all the time as our regular driver. Mm-hmm. And we ended up finding out, like, he was such a giving person. He was arranging bringing shoes to schools, a charity, his own NGO. He was raising money for schools to bring shoes to a school in the middle of the jungle. He invited us along, and we presented it with him. We went to another place where he was working with expats to raise money to help disabled children. And it just ended up being this tuk-tuk driver with a heart of gold. Wow. And you just never end up thinking that because you're just hailing cabs wherever you are, not thinking about it. And when you get to know the locals, they end up just being the most wonderful experience. We met his family. We went to his house. It was just a fantastic thing. And that one always warms my heart.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And how about you, Dave? Is there one special travel memory with you guys?
Well, there's obviously a ton of great memories. We've been to a lot of different countries, but I will say that the one I remember you talked about summiting Kilimanjaro, and actually we were just going through some footage lately about that, and I completely remember that as being such an incredibly bonding experience, not only for us, but also with our guides. And we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro during the time that we were cycling Africa. So we cycled from Cairo to Cape Town over 4 months. And we had a bit of a break in there where we went and we summited Kilimanjaro with a bunch of people that we were cycling with. But we didn't really, we weren't overly friends with them. But I remember that becoming such an incredibly bonding experience, as well as that sense of accomplishment to stand on the highest peak of Africa. Wow. And look over and just realize what an accomplishment that was.
I have to say, when you summit a mountain like that, it's really more emotional than you think it's going to be, too. Yes. When you get up there together and share that experience together, you never think you're going to be teary-eyed, but you start like almost getting all teared up at the top of the mountain and doing it together. Amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Actually, my book, Invincible You, our cover is a guy on top of a mountain or a person, and they're raised their hand like this. It's kind of a spiritual, it's definitely a metaphor, the peak of the mountain. And many of great spiritual traditions and religions, I guess Tibet as well, they talk about that.
It really is.
And the reason why they travel. But, I always love the idea of traveling, because whenever I ask people, what is your greatest goal in life, or what do you want? One of the great things they often say is travel. And no matter how old they are, I guess young, old, middle, they want to do this. And we know there are a lot of benefits to traveling. Psychologically, they've done studies. helps improve your optimism, your confidence, your hope. It widens your perspective in life. It actually eliminates bias. We see people as united, as all humans. It brings a lot of satisfaction in many ways. Creativity is increased as well, and also meaning in many ways. So what are some of the benefits you guys have found traveling personally and also with all your fans and people that follow you?
I have to say, travel really does all of the things that you said. It made me a more confident person. When I was a makeup artist in the film industry, I always was sitting in the back, like a little bit. Yes. I've always been fairly outgoing, but I was always very insecure of myself as a person because I'm around these movie stars living these great lives, thinking I'm not worthy. And then once I started traveling, I started thinking, hey, I'm a really interesting person now. Like, it's amazing how, just by having some more experiences, it opens you up and starts giving you things to talk about. I was confident. And then every time we seem to come back from a big travel, opportunities seem to come our way. It's almost like we made room for more good things to happen. And I think traveling also just made you realize to appreciate everything you have. Because the way we were traveling around countries, developing nations that, we have so much. We're so lucky as Canadians and Americans with what we have that we're just born into. And when you get to other countries and see how little they have, but how happy they are when you're traveling in the middle of Sudan, you start to really appreciate your own life more. And that's what I find I got from it. I came back and I found that the little things didn't bother me so much anymore. I was really appriciated.
I see. How about you, Dave?
For me, I think with traveling, I think before I left, I was quite introverted in the sense that I was living in my own little headspace in my own world and didn't really think about what was happening around the world or think about, what challenges other people go through in different countries and really just other cultures and all that kind of stuff was not really on my radar. So after traveling, I found that I've gotten so much interest in learning about the country, learning about the people. I've become a more educated person. I always say travel is one of the best education tools out there to get out there and meet the people and talk to people who are actually living that way. And also the sharing side of things. I mean, we started the travel blog and our social media channels in order to, like our motto is adventure is for everyone, to show that you don't have to be an Uber athlete and super rich or anything like that to be an adventurer, because adventure is different for everybody. You can be a normal person and do it. And I get immense gratification from sharing it with people and getting feedback from people saying, hey, you really inspired me to do this or push myself out of my comfort zone and all that kind of stuff. I saw that you can do it. So I know I can do it too. So that was sort of an unplanned, I would say, benefit of starting the blog and going out there and traveling. So it was really twofold for me.
Wow. I don't know. Canadians talk as fast as I do. You guys talk pretty fast. Is that
we'll slow it down.
People told me actually I say A sometimes by accident. They think I sound Canadian. But I don't know
we're quietly trying to take over the world with our A's.
Do you guys say A, or how do you guys say it?
I'm definitely an A person.
Okay.
I say A a lot. I don't think you say it so much, but I definitely always. Okay. I'm always like, it's a great day out.
I think we probably say it less since we started traveling than when we were at home, right?
You're getting more universal.
Really.
Okay. I like that. Exactly. This is really this could be really a great offshoot study, maybe articles or more than that, is the psychological effects of travel, which people don't often talk about it as much as, of course, enjoying traveling. I think gratitude, for example, that's a beautiful thing, that, where you come from and see other people, and also compassion for others that may live in difficult circumstances. Yes. Mother Teresa, of course, did great work in Calcutta. I don't know if have you guys been to Calcutta or India? Have you seen that?
We've been to India, but we never did get to Calcutta. So we have to.
Interesting how it changes, And I heard with the remote workers and all that, the economy has changed in India. So they're actually upgrading the economy worldwide. Yes. But also, interestingly enough, some countries are known as being, let's say, having less stress. And sometimes traveling there could help you, health-wise. They say Japan, for example, has half of the depression rate we have in the U.S. without medication and therapy. Their healthy diet, nature, and of course, more of a quieter kind of culture. And also, if you guys may have been there, and also they're saying the Philippines have the most loved feeling in the world out of the research, and they feel loved. And the U.S. they say we're in the middle pack, So it's not really about the economic aspect of the country; it's more about the interpersonal aspects. Have you guys been to either Philippines or Japan?
We've been to Japan.
Yes.
We haven't been to the Philippines yet.
Okay.
But an interesting place we were was, we've been to Bhutan, which has the happiness index, which is one of the happiest countries in the world.
Yes.
And that was a very interesting place as well, because their whole idea of, they talked to us about the happiness index that they have in their country.
Yes.
And it is about healthcare, education, everybody has food, and they have a spirituality. And it really did pay off when you're traveling around places like Bhutan and Southeast Asia and Japan. You really feel the
It is noticeable.
happiness.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely noticeable compared to, say, like even U.S. and Canada. You know, we're not as overt in the sense of we're very work focused, whereas those countries are kind of like the exact opposite, you know, in that they want to get out and they put the enjoyment of life ahead of work. And that's just sort of the Western mentality, I think, in the grand scheme of things, is that we are sort of heads down, and that's sort of the mentality kind of thing. So it's definitely refreshing to go to a country where they're like, no, it's more about getting out there and enjoying your life, and then work is secondary.
They have strong work ethics, though, but they have so much more, such a more well-rounded spiritual life.
Well, like my forefathers are from Spain. They used to have the siesta. You know, you take your middle of the day, you know, relaxation, go back to work later, and then, you know, you go out and have a nice meal or even music at nighttime. So that's a whole different mindset.
Spanish know how to enjoy life.
Yes, they do.
The Spaniards, yeah, exactly. Now Bhutan, where is that? I don't know much about it. Is that in India or near India or?
It is. It's right on the border of India, China, and Nepal. It's this little nation in the middle of the Himalayas.
Hardly ever heard about it. So, is it a Buddhist nation, or what's the nationality?
It is. It's a Buddhist nation. It's a king. It's a kingdom. We actually met the king when we were in Bhutan.
Wow,
Just by fluke. It was amazing. Just seeing him walk to a village. We trekked 2 days to get to the top of the village, and he came in to the festival. Yeah, and Blondie here, you know, he came and said hi to me.
Oh, okay. So you're unusual. They never seen someone like you, right? Plus, you're vivacious and kind of fun-loving people. I see they're curious about you. I wrote a book called The Three Secrets to Happiness about someone that goes actually to a mountain to meet a mystic to find the secrets. So I can imagine people do that a lot. You know, Westerners travel maybe to the Eastern places and find a spiritual teacher, you know, maybe a guru or something to help them transform. So I'm kind of curious. You know, in the book I wrote, the secrets are, you know, things we talked about. Gratitude is one. Optimism is another. You know, the belief that things will work out well, and of course, forgiveness, self-forgiveness is very important. People often don't do that. You know, we're hard on ourselves. So what did you see? What have you seen in Bhutan, for example, or similar countries that you think may indicate that happiness? What is it about the people there? Any kind of internal traits that you see that are different?
Yeah, I think it is the spirituality. It seems that, like, whatever religion they believe in, they really take it very seriously. Like, and it's also what am I trying to say?
I would say there's the sense of community there that I don't really, I'd like it, like, that is just really in the forefront of what they do. So the community is first. You know, family, community take a front seat to everything else. And I find that much different than from, say, Western countries that you go to, which are, you know, there's obviously still family oriented and people still, family is important, but I don't think they put as much emphasis on community and family like they do in some other countries. And I think that is definitely a common trait in, you know, even like someplace like Japan as well as Bhutan. Like it's very, very a big part of the culture.
Interesting.
And that's the word I'm looking for, was tradition as well. Yes. Whether they are religious or not, they have very deep-rooted traditions. And I think that's another thing, by holding on to tradition as well. So family, community, spirituality, and tradition. It seems like that's a very part of the...
It's like that phrase, it takes a village to raise a child, you know, and I've been told in Africa, like your neighbor will actually discipline a child that's unruly or that's, you know, not following what they should be doing. Do you see that in other countries? I mean, do people contribute to each other's, you know, raising children, helping each other? How does that work?
Yeah, definitely in Africa. We've been to a village circle in Kenya where we sat with the women who were all working together to send one child to school, like one girl, because we were in Kenya where the children, it costs money to go to school, and girls a lot of time are the ones that are out doing the work while their brothers go to school.
Yes.
And the whole village got together making ropes to sell at market.
That's great.
Send the girl that's going to school next year off to school.
Yes.
And that was the whole point of the women getting together in a circle and working together and raising the community together. So that was definitely a big part of
course, you know, in some
together.
cultures, they have more of authoritarian child rearing, so the discipline can be very severe. We might consider it abuse in our way of thinking. How did you guys, go when you go to a culture like that? How do you deal with the things that are very different to you? They may even seem odd to you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen anything where they've been rough on their children. For the most part, you see them just like us playing and talking, and you'll see them wagging their finger at a child or something like that. So I haven't seen anything where the discipline is very difficult. I see people working hard, though. You'll see a lot of kids.
Oh, okay. Early age.
We cycled.
Early age working.
Yeah, when we were cycling through Ethiopia and seeing kids carrying water and big stacks of wood on their backs and things like that.
They're put to work early, definitely.
Yeah, because the whole family's working.
There are differences.
But,
do you guys have any spiritual path or beliefs yourself in terms of your guys?
We don't. We've sort of just taken the path of just the belief in wherever we are. I tend to. I have a big interest in, or a relatively large interest in different religions, and I find that Buddhism, Hinduism, like the Eastern religions are quite interesting to me. But I don't. There's not one that I follow.
We don't follow one, but we look at ourselves as very spiritual and very centered with the earth and things like that. And wherever we go, like when we go to Europe, we go right into all of the first thing we're drawn to are the churches. We go to temples when we're in Asia. So something about the community of any religion, I think that's the most important thing.
So, love universally, we say love is a unifying force. So, they have in common the loving energy among, religions.
Yeah.
And of course,
and
love.
I like go to all of the different and feel what they feel while you're there. Take part in ceremonies and festivals. Yeah.
Now, love, of course, in Love University, we say loving yourself, others, and a higher nature. And part of loving others is the romantic part, the love partnership, and you guys have that. So it's very interesting to talk about, the effects of travel on a romantic couple, the psychological effects. How does that help? Or sometimes it's a challenge. Now, they said the good part is that it does improve romance. They say 86% of traveling couples say they have a strong romantic connection with each other. It can improve communication, trust, also understanding each other, compromising with each other. And they say that 4 times as many couples say that traveling is more important than giving gifts in a romantic sense. So tell us about that, because you said that this brought you back together, your marriage, traveling. So tell us about that. Were you guys at the brink of divorce or not divorced? What was going on there?
Well, when Dave and I met, we met very young. We met when I was 20 years old. And by the time we took that trip to Thailand, we'd been together 10 years. Okay. So through our whole years of really growing and searching for our careers, we were together.
Right.
And we found that through that 10 years, we were really just focused on career.
Right.
And then we still liked each other. We still got along, but we just didn't really have anything in common. He had his friends. I had my friends. He was working all the time. I was working. And that's why we say I don't think we would have been together, because I think we were drifting apart. When we did go out for dinner on the weekends, we were that couple that just sat there in silence.
Oh, no.
And
look at your cell phones.
I'd look at other Well, there weren't cell phones then, but we'd look at other couples like eavesdropping on other people's conversations because we had nothing to say to each other. So you can still like each other, but not have anything in common. And it was that trip to Thailand. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, that trip to Thailand really changed everything. It made us realize, I think.
We did 5 weeks in 2000. Yeah. Like it was the year 2000. The year 2000. A long time ago now.
Okay. So 5 weeks, and we went to Thailand, and it's a place that we had obviously never been before. We hadn't done any really long international travel like that at that point. So basically we were dumped in the middle of a country where we didn't speak a language, and we had to rely on each other. Right. And I think being forced to rely on each other throughout that whole trip really, really brought us back to why we loved each other in the first place, and it's funny, you know, we started to do it. We were out doing a ton of outdoor activities and that kind of stuff. And I remember we were rock climbing in Thailand, and it was this whole partnership of trust and bringing back trust between, you know, me holding her on the rock. There was, you know, a metaphor for trust there and all that kind of stuff. And I think that it had a huge impact in that we had to rely on each other again. And we rediscovered why we fell in love again by being out there and not having any outside forces from our life back home really having an impact.
Yeah. And when we came home from that trip, we took up all of the things that we did in Thailand. We took up kayaking, we took up scuba diving, we took up rock climbing, and suddenly we were the ones out at dinner talking to each other again and excited about life again. And that just lit a spark that brought everything back.
So Dave, look at Deb in the eye and tell me, what do you love about her that you learned from traveling? Look at her now.
From traveling, I love so many things about you.
But one big thing that you love about her that you know.
One big thing that I love about you is I love your confidence. And I know you probably say you're the least confident person out there, but you are the most confident person, and you give me security. And you are my rock. And I've told you that 100 times before, is that I don't think that I would be able to do what I'm doing now if it wasn't for your support. And your confidence.
I think we're getting teary-eyed a little bit here. This is beautiful. How about you, Dad? Look at him in the eye and tell him the same thing. Or, you know, what is that you love most that you learned from traveling?
The most I learned from you from traveling is your patience and strength. You will just have patience for anything when things go wrong. You are the level-headed one, but you find the strength. Whereas I will freak out and fly off the handle. You always ground me and bring me down. And I think that's the amazing thing. Is so much patience, especially for me. I don't know how you put up even half the time.
Give each other a nice hug. That was beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, I'll take a hug.
I think, Dave, we're going to save some marriages today, I think, with this podcast. I believe so.
I believe in love, so I was really excited to hear about Love University and then talk to everybody.
Definitely, because there's a lot of love I see from you guys, and traveling, I think, connects you. And they say that traveling couples actually have a lower divorce rate, research shows. But there are challenges, though. They do. But how about the challenges, though? Because think about it. You're going to be with someone 24/7 for days, weeks, or months. Who knows how long you're going to travel. So I'm sure there'll be arguments and things like that. Now, you talk about some nice tips. On your blog, you say stuff like appreciate each other, compromise, and also don't be hangry. Tell us about a hangry.
Hangry. We have some of our biggest fights when we're hungry, and we get very, very angry. Like I'm talking some huge fights.
So call it hangry.
Yes. Hangry, we call it. Okay. I've talked to other travel couples who say the same thing, that it's just you have to let it go, because like sometimes you're just busy, you're walking around trying to find a place to eat, and you get more and more angry, and you don't really know why, and you're just hungry. And we've had some huge fights out.
And unfortunately, our worst trait is we can never pick a restaurant to eat at.
No, then we start blaming.
There's a lot of hangry happening.
Yeah, we can't make up. I have to say, when it comes to eating, we cannot make up our mind. We're like, well, what about this place? And we just have huge fights.
Well, you said you guys have fights, but it's okay. I mean, have a fight. I mean, it's going to happen, right? So, what do you guys do to diffuse that? You know.
Yeah, our biggest piece of advice we give is you have to let it go. We have had some huge fights. I remember once we were we realized it was from jet lag, but we didn't know it at the time, and we were just having a huge argument in our hotel room.
Okay.
And it was at a conference, and we knew people. We were the keynote speakers, and we knew some people were next
outside,
and we were like, oh my gosh. And we're like, I hope that they didn't hear that.
I know, really.
But you know what? You just have to let it go. And I'm like, we're human, and we don't hold on to things. I never ever bring anything back and say, well, remember when you did this 5 years ago, and you never bring anything back about like, oh, do you know you always do this? We get over it and move on.
Get it out, talk it out, and then it's over and done with and move on. I think that's a big thing, especially when you're spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week together. You know, when we were traveling full time, there's no like, oh, I'll go take a break for a weekend with the guys or anything like that. It's like we're here together, and you know, we've been able to. Luckily, our personalities do mesh very well in that sense, and that we do go very well together in the sense that we can both talk about things, have an argument, yell, you know, whatever, and then get over it and move on. And it's not something we hold on to or hold a grudge. And I think that's a big key, especially if you're spending a lot of time together. Yeah. It's a good pandemic piece of advice too.
I think my biggest thing is just to know that one giant argument doesn't ruin a marriage. You can work on it after. You can let it go. And,
Right.
you know, sometimes it can end up with a huge laugh, or we can be having the most crazy argument, and then all of a sudden one of us will just go, I don't want to fight anymore, do you? You know, and just kind of that diffuses everything. Then we just start laughing.
Definitely,
you
yeah.
know?
That's like the Gottman. Gottman did a research, this famous marriage researcher, that happy couples still fight, but they have what are called diffusers. And they have these little signals, like they may be a joke or a touch or something, you know, that kind of stops the whole process. And they can work on and they maintain positive. But the other thing you mentioned is compromise. So
I don't want to fight anymore. That's
I don't
basically
want to
what
fight.
it is.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Let's have fun. But compromise is important. Let's say he wants to look at the teepees, you want to look at the museum on the other side. You guys fight about that. So how do you compromise? Let's say what you're going to do and things like that.
Actually, we always make sure that like it's all of a give and take for both of us. In that if I don't want to do something, I usually say, well, I'll give it a try. I'm kind of that kind of person where I'm like, oh, I'll give it a try and see. If I don't like it, I say, I didn't really have a good time, but at least I got to be there with you, so it's okay. And then, you know, but it has really, the beauty about doing that has broadened my horizons like crazy. And things I would have never thought I would have enjoyed, I now do as much as I possibly can. So, and that's because she enjoyed doing them and wanted to go and do them and brought me along to do it. And I think vice versa, you know, in the sense of me pushing you out of your comfort zone, I'm a little bit more adventurous than Deb was. So I've sort of forced her to do a little bit, not forced, but, you know, brought her along to do a little bit more than she probably would have done if she was there by herself.
Well, like the idea of compromise, I did not want to jump out of an airplane. It's just something that terrifies me. I never have. Dave loves it. But I go paragliding. We find the happy medium. I'm okay with paragliding and, you know, sailing through the air. As long as I don't have to jump off a cliff first to do it, I'm good with that. So you find the happy medium as well.
Exactly.
So that's what.
Exactly. Yeah. So in terms of romance, you know, love making and spicing up the love life, stuff like that. How does travel help you do that as a couple? What are some of the things that enables you to that?
Oh, there's so many things when you're in an exotic location. It's very, very exciting all the time. Ooh, we're stepping on the continent first time.
So there's more kissing, more connection and affection. Yes.
And definitely. And we also tend to spend more time on the romance when we're traveling. We will actually book those romantic dinners on the beach. We'll actually book the couples massages. And I find that is really important. When we first started backpacking on that 5-week trip to Thailand, we were on a tight budget. And even then, we made sure that we got into someplace luxury or had that nice, you know, couples bath in Bali or things like that. Like I think it's easy, really easy when you're traveling to up the romance factor.
Definitely. Oh, you said it. I agree. I think it's definitely easy to do it.
Yes.
But you got to make a plan, you know, like you got to, especially, you know, the longer you've been together. And that goes for being at home as well. You know, make a plan to go out there and say, hey, we're going to go out and have a romantic weekend or whatever, you know, because it really makes a huge difference.
I find traveling as a couple for a long time, you can easily fall into the friend factor of just kind of your traveling buddies together. So as a couple that's been together forever, we do have to work, like Dave said, making a plan is important we've got to make sure that we keep the romance alive.
Definitely, yeah. And then, you know, the sensuality, like you said, the massages, the hot tubs, the nature, you know, that kind of spices up
it gets you in the mood.
Sexual. Exactly. In terms of like the most romantic places in the world, you know, I used to think, I heard somewhere that Hawaii is like maybe top 3, then say Venice, and then Paris maybe number 1. But you guys have different choices. You talk about, I think is the Amalfi Coast and also Maldives in South Asia. So what would you say, let's say the top 3 most romantic places in the world? What would you say?
All right. I do like the 3 that you said. You know, I do always fall in love with Paris. It is very romantic, but I am a huge, I do love the Maldives. It's just a beautiful, the over the water, the bungalows on your private island. Like, and it's quite, you know, it sounds really expensive, and it is if you're flying just directly from America or Canada. But if you're in Sri Lanka and you take the 2-hour flight over, it's quite affordable. That is incredible. You have the couples massages, you have gorgeous turquoise waters, you're doing adventures and romance.
So let me make sure I have it. So you said Maldives. Is that the way you say it? Is it South Asian?
Yeah, Maldives is how I say it. I'm pretty sure that's
Maldives.
how
Okay. So is it South Asian as an island, or what is it exactly? And where is it?
It's a whole archipelago of islands. It's a chain of islands off the coast of India and Sri Lanka.
Oh, okay.
And It's that really famous place with it's like Bora Bora. It's over the water bungalow.
I see.
And hotels are all on just basically
all their own atolls.
Yeah.
So, it's never a hotel beside a hotel.
I see.
So each hotel owns their own island, and then that's where you go.
Is that a fairly unknown place for the average person, or is it well known?
I think for the average person, it's unknown for sure. We found out about it when we were in Sri Lanka.
So is it good to relieve the secrets now? There'll be a lot of people coming there. Is it good? Or
yeah, exactly.
okay,
and for you? Because I do say Paris though. That was one of our first romantic trips, and that is romantic city in the world.
Okay.
Even though I don't have it as number one I have a list of the romantic places, right? So I wrote it though. What one are you?
I would say we were just in St. Lucia.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've been to St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and it was absolutely made for romance. It's one of the top honeymoon destinations in the world, and rightfully so. I mean, there is you can really just be isolated together, and basically not interact with other people if you don't want to, but there's still other things to do. But the hotels and the views of the pitons and all that kind of stuff.
The island has two big volcanoes that are giant volcanoes that are coming out of the Caribbean Ocean. It's gorgeous.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now this is all exciting. I'm sure there's so many beautiful places. Hopefully, we can get back to that, right? Traveling wise.
Yeah. I hope so.
But the other hand, there are some challenges to traveling. I know you guys dedicate a lot of your website to tips, how to overcome the challenges. I'll just point a few of them out to you. You tell me what you think. For example, obviously health issues, with the coronavirus, other health issues. Now you say you've been hospitalized 4 times, I think, or four continents or something. You broke your back on one of your trips.
Yeah.
You talk about health insurance, safety, being robbed or say it again.
We're big advocates of health insurance.
Okay. Being robbed, or assaulted, hurt in many ways as possible. Feeling lonely, if you're traveling by yourself. Losing things. And you talk about an idiot check where you make your bed in the room and check to see if you left anything. And then running out of money. So tell us about, some of those challenges and how do you get over that? You ran out of money there, Dave?
We have.
We have run out of money, but we got scammed and almost ran out of money.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
We were scammed.
Wow.
Yeah, we were scammed in Myanmar in 2003, and there were no ATMs at the time.
Wow.
So the money you had with you is the money you had for the amount of time you're there.
Okay.
So
we had to change U.S. dollars.
Okay. So if you're out of money, is there an American Express emergency, or what do you recommend for getting cash?
Well, now it's much easier. Then in 2003, it was very difficult. We were cut in half, had an X amount of money to travel. Right. They scammed it back by giving it back to us and totally got the whole scam pretending that police were coming. Because you could only change your money on the black market there.
That's crazy.
Anyway, we got half of it back and had to cut our trip short. And we had to change our whole trip because we couldn't get any.
Right.
But now there's all kinds of ways.
Now it's ATM card and U.S. cash. Always carries U.S. cash with us because it's good everywhere. As well as we use ATMs as much because I get a better rate usually with my bank at home if I do that rather than trying to get cash or changing it when I'm in the country.
Yeah.
But what if you lose everything or get robbed of everything? Where do you get the money? Do you have people wire it to you, or what's the best way?
Well, we always split things up everywhere. It's really funny, the ladies. I always keep an extra credit card and cash wrapped in toilet paper in with my tampons because no one's going to look there in my backpack. Right. Yeah. So people are usually going to do my whole backpack. So that's where I keep stuff right there, and I just wrap it in I put it in a Ziploc. No one will ever look in there. So that's what I do now. They will. Well, they won't. So we always split things up. We keep things in our carry-ons, our backpacks, our checked luggage. So we have something everywhere just in case. I think it's really important to have that.
Yes. Okay. Good.
And we haven't luckily had to have any money sent to us, but I have sent money to a friend in Nepal, to help him when when the avalanche happened. He worked at Everest, and you can definitely wire money anywhere. It can happen, no problem.
It's easier now.
You can get it.
How about health and safety? This is a big concern. People that can travel. I don't even know if I think Europe is open a little bit, but India is not. I heard some countries are not open, some are. It depends, right now.
Right.
But let's say you are traveling. Yeah, it depends. So how about health-wise? What do you recommend? I know you talk about eating in the street, but make sure that they don't touch it with their hands, the meat or something. So, what are some of the recommendations for health and safety?
Well, I would say number one is make sure you have good travel insurance. Yes. I would also say make sure that you have medical evacuation insurance is another good thing. We use a company called MedJet, which will at no questions asked, fly you home.
Oh, wow.
No matter where you are. So it's not just about being treated in the country, but it's about getting home. But it's also about obviously trying to avoid not getting sick while you're there. Like common sense things like avoiding eating foods that you could probably get sick from. I'm pretty bad at that.
Dave will eat anything.
I've been sick quite a few times from food
I heard
poisoning.
like some of the water, some of the drinks they give you can have hepatitis B or hepatitis possibly, or infections or something.
We use that. Well, we have all of our shots. That's another thing. It's important to go to a travel clinic before you leave to see what shots you need. So like we have our hepatitis shots, we have our yellow fever shots, we have our Japanese encephalitis, we have all kinds of shots, which is in some countries, in parts of Africa, you need yellow fever to show that card just to get in. Right. And what Dave was saying, you were talking about street food, there's nothing wrong with eating street food, but just make sure it's cooked. I always say make sure if you're going to eat something, it has to be peeled. Don't eat lettuce off the cart. Grab an orange, though. That's no problem. You can
ice is not a good idea. I've gotten sick off of ice. That's,
when it comes to water, we use something called a SteriPen. It's a UV sterilizer, and it purifies our water. So we use that to trek into the mountains of Kyrgyzstan, just getting water out of the lakes and rivers up there where the cows have gone to the bathroom. But we have our SteriPen and it purifies it. And so those are
really good. Those are good practical tips. People need to know those little things, to keep them safe and sane when they travel. Now, we asked Love University students some questions that we want to ask you guys. One of them is, I love my dog. How can I travel with my dog?
Ooh, well, there's,
I mean, you can definitely travel with your dog. It just depends on where you're going. So you have to check into obviously what the regulations are for not only going to another country with your pet, but also coming back to make sure, especially I'm sure things are a little bit different now with coronavirus and everything, but you can definitely travel with your pet. It doesn't have to be a hindrance, but you have to look for accommodation that will accommodate the pets, as well as making sure that you can get them into the country.
Make sure they have all of their shots up to date, like everything. We're all getting used to vaccines now, right? Everybody's right down to your pet has to be vaccinated.
Right, because some people have dogs as a service or emotional companions or service dogs. So there are different ways they can do it, I guess.
Definitely. Emotional support animals.
Yes, definitely. Another question is, do I have to be a daredevil to travel? Like, I know you do a lot of things. Like, do I have to parachute into the Amazon, or can I just lie on the beach? What do you recommend for people?
You do not have to be a daredevil at all to travel. Something we always say is take baby steps. We didn't start climbing mountains and cycling Africa right off the bat. We started doing baby steps. I remember going on that first trip to Thailand and walking in the jungle for the very first time on a very well-manicured path, but I thought it was the most craziest adventure I've ever done in my life, and that was just a baby step. And from then, I've moved on. You don't even have to do adventure travel if you don't want. There's people that travel just for food, or people that just travel for spas, or just travel for the best beaches in the world.
My suggestion for people who haven't been out of their home country and are thinking of going somewhere, but might be a little bit apprehensive, is try and base your trip around something that's really of interest to you. And that, whether, it could be history, it could be architecture, it doesn't, it could be nature, it could be bike riding, it could be any of these things, but make that sort of a core component of your first trip. And you'll find that, a lot of the fears tend to go away because you're with something that you're comfortable with. And I think that's the most important thing. You have to go someplace that you're comfortable to start out with. And then you'll find you can, expand from there.
And don't be afraid of booking a group tour. We've done group tours with a lot of different companies, and you can do active or as relaxed as you like. And they're great. They're a great way to get introduced. You could start off with that first group tour around Europe and then try on your own later.
No, we talk to people about traveling. Some people say, I just want to enjoy the world and travel. But other people say that can be maybe hedonistic or even selfish. I don't want to have a family. I just want to travel. So what do you say to people like that? How do you respond to say that traveling is a selfish occupation?
Oh, I haven't thought about travel as a selfish occupation, but I think you have to do what's best for you. I know that for us, we don't have kids, so maybe people would look at us as being selfish, but I never wanted them before I even started traveling. It wasn't something that was on, luckily, either of our radar before. So I think the biggest thing in life is you just have to be what's right for you. My best advice is if you start going by what everybody in society tells you what to do, well, you're living for everyone else but yourself. And for those who want to have a family, amazing. I love people that have a family. There wouldn't be a world without them. You know, I'm glad my parents had them.
Now, can you travel with kids? That's another question. Is it difficult? Is it good? I mean, I've heard good and bad on that. What do you say about traveling with kids?
It's just I would say from all of our friends, it's just different. So a lot of them say it's the best education you can give your kids is to go and travel with them and open them up to different parts of the world. But as a parent traveling with kids, it's just a little bit more planning, a little bit more gear to carry, all that kind of stuff. You have to not just plan for yourself and what your interests are, but also what your kids' interests are. So it can be a little bit more challenging, and maybe the amount of time that you travel is a little bit shorter than if you were just going with two people. But it's definitely a great way to get your kids out in the world and open up their minds.
Yeah,
definitely.
We have friends that are traveling full time with their kids that just on the road for several years, and they're making it work, and their kids seem fantastic.
Yes, I can think it could be a tremendous education and tremendous life experience.
Yeah, very outgoing.
Yes, definitely. And then what I love about your website, you guys get into a lot of detail. The tips and things that you talk about. Some of them are actually psychological. You say things like, smile at people you meet, be friendly to them, be compassionate to service workers instead of being like demanding. Some people get rude and irritated, but understand they're human beings, right? They're working hard. You talk about being compassionate and also being a volunteer, maybe humanitarian, help out. Maybe you said you taught English or something in a country as a volunteer, helping them. And you talk about different things like that. Follow your instincts in terms of where you go, at night and places, so you don't get robbed or things like that. And also you say, be flexible, open to changing, and also start early in the morning. So tell us a little bit about some of those little psychological tips for traveling.
The one thing I love is when you say a smile. We always laugh at like a smile, a hand wave, and knowing 3 words can get you so far.
Okay.
We were taking a road trip to Mongolia, and we couldn't speak the word. We couldn't read the language. We were in Siberia and Russia with Siluric, and we couldn't understand anything. But we just smiled and waved, and everybody was just open to help us out. I think that's the best thing, just give them a smile.
So, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo vai? In Brazil.
Yeah.
What is it? Arigato gozaimasu? Arigato?
Good for you,
How about you? Do you guys know a few words in some languages?
We know most of the hellos and thank you. We always try to know hello, thank you.
Okay, give me hello, thank you in some of those Indian countries that you think about.
Okay, well, namaste. Namaste is a big one. Okay. Another great one in Fiji is bula.
Bula, that's kind of cool.
Bula banaka. In Africa, it's in Tanzania and Kenya, it's jumbo.
Or thank you is asante.
Asante sana. Yeah.
Asante,
and then you got it.
That's kind of cool.
So
some people are afraid, or como talibou, I guess French. You guys speak a little French.
A little bit of French.
Yeah. Some people are afraid that the language would be a problem, like you're saying, right? When they go to countries, but you're saying there's not a few phrases could get you by, and.
It really can.
I think it probably was like that quite, probably 20 years ago. But now, the world has opened up so much more now. And
I'm having a thought about China.
Yeah. Well, and
using Google Translate, just
Google
having
Translate
conversations.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super handy in countries, especially like China or Russia, where or any sort of symbol-based language where you can't, or tonal-based language is pretty tough. So to have Google Translate really helps.
It's amazing. You use the camera and put it on the sign or
it'll translate it to English right there in front of you.
And then you can talk. We have done it where we've asked for directions. We talk into our Google language, and I don't work with Google. They don't need me at all. I talk into my app. I say, can you tell me where the bus station is? And then I just play it back, and then they speak back in Mandarin and tell me where to go.
Wow,
So, so many apps now.
So technology has made it a lot easier. Technology has made it easier to really communicate.
Yeah.
And the other thing that
it's an
technology.
exciting time for travelers.
Say that again.
I just said it's an exciting time for new travelers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also the other thing that's kind of cool that you talk about the nomadic life, kind of virtual reality traveling kind of thing. And then Reggie, my producer, say hi, Reggie, over here.
Hi, Reggie.
Hi, Reggie.
Yeah, he's a young man who's a millennial.
Hi guys, hey David.
He's a wonderful guy. And then one of his dreams is to kind of like live, travel, and maybe the idea of living on the beach and with your laptop, making money and just enjoying life. Now there was a book actually that came out. Actually, thanks, Reggie. I just wanted to say he always comes in at certain times. We'll get to Reggie. Is the idea of the 4-hour work week? Have you heard of that? Where basically you can make a lot of money, living virtually. But some people think it's a little bit exaggerated and not realistic. What do you think about that? Is it possible to do that? Because I know you talk about having a travel blog and other ideas. Tell us about how that works.
I haven't figured out the 4-hour work week. I think it's exaggerated.
Okay, that's exaggerated.
I haven't met him personally, and I think it's a great concept. But I think that I can guarantee he's probably working more than 4 hours just by doing all of the speaking engagements he does.
Right, exactly.
So there you go.
But he travels the world. He talks about his adventures in countries, and he writes about it and all that. And that's the idea.
But I do want to say though, I don't really ever feel like I don't feel like I'm working. We basically work long hours all the time, but I love what I do. And I think that's the concept of what he's saying, of that if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. Like we will put in hours into editing a video, writing an article, taking the photograph, getting up at 6 a.m. for sunrise, or sometimes 4 a.m.
So maybe the better phrase is you love what you do, so it's not work, and you work at it.
Yeah.
And then it seems like it's enjoyable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think for anyone thinking they can just go sit on a beach and make money, talk to anybody doing it. They've worked hard to get there, and and it seems like they work harder once they're even doing it. It just seems like they get excited about it. And everyone I know who's successful as a digital nomad, they're always creating new things, creating new courses, creating new creating things.
Right,
so.
but it's possible. Now you talk about you give advice to people that want to live this life, right? This portable lifestyle they call it, where you can live anywhere and work anywhere. You say things like having your own travel blog, YouTube channel, destination campaigns where I guess you promote other countries, or brand partnerships where you promote products related to travel and get affiliate marketing and things like that. But the other thing is how do you maintain your objectivity? Because let's say you have a lousy country that wants you to promote it and they'll pay a lot of money. Would you do that? Or not?
Well, you can. I was going to say we have the easiest job because we love to travel, and we have turned down some countries that have invited us to come that just don't really fit with our brand, and we always look for things that we have either used before or we want to go to. Right. And when we come up with an itinerary for travel, well, we go with the interests that we like. We don't say nobody ever sends us on a food tour. We're not foodies. We love to eat, but we're not going to write about it. So we're like, hey, we're going to come to St. Lucia and we're going to hike up to the Pitons, or we're going to go do some scuba diving or things like that. Right. It is quite easy in travel to be objective because we plan our travels with work the way we plan our travels when we go to anywhere. Like when we went to Bhutan, we worked with a company. But it was about trekking into the Himalayas, something we love to do. How difficult can that be to?
I see. So I think authenticity is a big part of longevity in this business. Right. And I think that if you don't have authenticity and your audience doesn't believe what you say, then you don't have a job. So that's something that we realized right from the very beginning is that to be authentic and be true to ourselves is not only important from a psychological standpoint or a personal philosophy, but also from a business standpoint in that staying true to what we like and promoting products that we like is important rather than just, for lack of a better term, being a shill for whoever comes along.
Yeah. So I like that. So integrity and authenticity, right? Keep people coming back to you, right? Your fans keep coming and they believe in what you do. That's awesome.
Right. And we won't work with a company that we don't know or have never used before just because they're saying we'll pay you to do it.
Yes. I see. So Reggie, my producer, come back here a second. Now, Reggie, he's a very smart guy, technology-wise. Now, give Reggie some advice. Let's say he wants to do this traveling thing. Do you like to travel, Reggie, if you get a chance?
When I get the chance, yeah.
Okay. So how do you help him become this guy that makes money through traveling? What are some tips for him?
Well, first find what you love about traveling. You can't just say, I'm going to go make money about it and travel.
Okay.
You really need to say, what is it that makes me get up every day to be able to write about this?
Right,
Because you can't just go.
Right. What do you love about traveling? Now, Reggie accompanied me to Miami. We did a book festival. He had a great time. Remember on the trip?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you love about traveling, Reggie?
Well, I mean, it's just seeing something new, a different place, like the way people carry themselves a different way, interacting a different way, just different from what I'm used to,
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So your thing could be about showing people what's different about travel. You're seeing it for the first time with new eyes. And I think that's what people want to see, like the wow, the excitement about that. And that's where you want to start with that idea. And then you have to start building on that, getting your social media channels, getting your website set up, planning out what you're going to talk about each day. You have to have a voice and a reason to share. So it can be about,
Yes, it's definitely not random. It's definitely something where you want to sit down and make a little bit, make a plan of where you want to be and how you're going to get there. I think for us, that was a big part of what we did is like, we set out a plan with our business of how we wanted to be and where we wanted to be and how we would achieve those goals. So it's not, it's great to have an idea of what you want to write about or what you want to film or anything like that. But you have to have a plan on how to get it out to the masses, and you have to know who your audience is and how you're going to reach those people and what you want to say and why they listen to you.
One thing about Reggie, he's a great guy, but he's very shy and he's never really had a real relationship. So we've been working to help him do that. How about a romantic relationship trip, Reggie? Would you be interested in that with the special lady?
I mean, sure, why not? Like, if I'm in a relationship with her, why wouldn't I want to go traveling with her?
So what do you recommend for Reggie? Where would he take her? Now, we're in California. Where would you take his romantic lady, let's say?
Oh, to go down to Big Sur, for sure, in California. You probably have been there anyway. Go down and stay at Ventana Resort.
Oh, I don't think anybody can afford to stay there.
Well, you can stay in the glamping tent there. It's lovely.
How about worldwide? Let's say Reggie's going to get a raise after this, right? I mean, hopefully someday.
Fingers crossed.
So and he's going to go international. So where do you recommend him take that dream lady to a trip?
Ooh, I'd say Italy. Italy is the country of love.
Italy or Paris, I would say. One of those.
I'm saying the country. Paris is a great city. I'm saying go to Italy. Don't just take a cruise. Stay overnight. Stay in Venice.
Maybe we should start a help Reggie go to Italy with this lady fund, right? Like go fund me. Right, Reggie? Reggie, sounds good.
GoFundMe's are awesome.
Go fund Reggie with his lady you love in Italy. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So we would definitely want to encourage a lot of people. I think you can travel, I guess, if you're alone. Is it okay to travel by yourself?
Oh, yeah. I have so many friends that are solo travelers that just love it. And they don't want to travel with anyone else. They're like, they'll meet up with people and travel for a few days, but they really love their freedom. They've been doing it for years.
Someone once told me that, they've tried different ways. By themselves, there's a certain energy with a romantic couple, and then with friends. So they have different kind of experiences and energies that way. Do you have a preference? I mean, obviously you travel in couple now, but have you guys ever traveled alone?
I have to say we haven't.
Really?
So we can't
wow.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never done it.
We've been together since we were 20, and we took vacations. Like, we worked a lot before. So
we traveled for work just separately, but
how about with couples or friends? Have you guys ever traveled with friends or couples before?
We traveled with other friends at the same time, but together with two of us. And I love traveling with other people. We love group travel. Like, I love being with friends, and because that's the other thing, they give you inspiration.
Yeah, and it's another dynamic, right? It's completely another dynamic traveling, whether traveling alone or whether traveling as a couple or traveling with friends.
Right.
It's a completely dynamic each time. That's why I say don't just do one.
Yeah.
Right.
Try them all.
We haven't traveled alone though, so we have to say.
No, well, I say with friends and couple. Yes.
I guess if you're alone, you can meet more people maybe, and new experiences, right? Possibly. And have different ways to connect.
Like hostels nowadays, I have friends who are 60 years old traveling on their own, and they'll stay in a hostel because hostels don't have those stigma now of being, for teenagers or 20-somethings anymore. And they're a great way to meet people because they have the common rooms, they have the kitchens, and you can really
especially if you're a very outgoing person. Yeah,
definitely. So I can say this can apply. We have introverted people, extroverted people. We have people that are logical, want to learn things, and then emotional people that want to relate, people that are spontaneous, and people that are structured. So I think this traveling can really connect with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different styles. And the key is to expand yourself, right? To leave something of you behind and to take something that you want to learn. And that can be very beautiful. What would be a tweet? What would be a tweet you can leave the world about traveling? Or a little
tweet.
A little phrase.
Tweet I could leave. One phrase about traveling.
One phrase about traveling. I would say one thing I would say is don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone because it will open up a world of opportunity.
Wow. Okay. Is that the characters that they have, or did you go over character there?
Yeah, I think you might have got. Don't.
Did I go over? I don't know.
Well,
Maybe I don't learn it anymore. I'm not 200. I'm okay.
But I like that. Say that one more time.
I say don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone because it can open up a whole different world of opportunity.
I like that. World of opportunity. Beautiful. How about yourself, Deb, on a tweet?
I'm trying to think of something very
compete with that.
Oh, are you competitive? Do you want to beat him on this one or no? Or not too much?
A little bit.
Yeah, we're a little competitive.
I was just trying to think of how to say, travel will make you discover things you love that you didn't know you loved.
Wow, that's profound.
That's how I'm trying to word it. Yeah,
that's profound.
Because I think when travel will make you discover things you love that you didn't know you loved.
So tell me about that. What does that really mean that you didn't know you loved?
Well, there's been some times in our travels when I think I'm going to hate something, like I'm not interested in.
Like a poison blowfish or something, like some kind of weird animal that you eat.
Maybe that, but I was thinking more like I'm not interested in going to chamber music in Vienna. But then when I see it, it's so moving. Or I'm not interested in climbing to the top of a volcano. I'm afraid I'm going to be killed by lava. But that was not something that happened. But when I got to the top, I loved it. You know, I have no desire to swim with. I have no desire to go snorkeling. But once I got in the water,
do people actually swim with sharks? Is that a real thing or no?
We have been
a couple of times, yes.
Wow,
sharks,
okay.
Yeah.
I know there's a book called that, but it means don't, in the business world, avoid the sharks. But I don't know if that's the same.
Avoid the sharks, exactly. The completely different meaning in business.
It depends on the shark.
Exactly. Well, you guys have been a delight. You guys have been a delight to be on the show. I had a lot of fun. This is one of our longer shows that we've had with you guys.
Oh, amazing. I had so much fun.
I appreciate it.
I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, it's like traveling.
I feel uplifted after talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. We need to go out and try. Let's go travel, right? Why don't you come here to California or something, and maybe I'll go to Canada, right?
Yeah.
So tell us more.
I look forward to coming back to California.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your website. Tell us where can we find you? What do you have to offer our listeners?
Great.
Well, you can find us at theplanetd.com. And on all social media channels, we are The Planet D as well. As I said earlier on, our motto is adventure is for everyone. So basically, adventure is different for everybody. So we talk about different adventures, as well as travel tips about nomadic living, different experiences from all around the world in the 115 countries that we've been to on all 7 continents. So I think our website is a little something for everybody. You don't have to be a super adventurer in order to enjoy our content. You can just be, it appeals to everyone from the average Joe to the ultimate adventurer. So there's something for everybody.
Okay. And right now on our YouTube channel, we're doing the ultimate bucket list adventures. We're doing a series right now, part 1, part 2, part 3. So if people want some inspiration of what we've done, check it out. Because
that sounds great.
It's been fun. Because we're locked down still here in Canada. We're not as far along in the vaccine as you guys. So we're reliving all of our adventures.
Now, do you guys have products, tours, or coaching, anything like that through your website?
We don't. We are just all about
information
sharing our experience.
Information and inspiration. That's sort of the idea behind what we do.
Yeah, I think when we slow down, we will get into that one day soon. But at the moment,
Well, I can see a guidebook here, the Planet D Guide to traveling, right, and happiness, something like that. You guys.
Thanks. I think it'd be fun. Yeah, because we have a really good time.
Yeah,
we have a lot of fun
together. That's great. Well, I think the bottom line is, love can be expressed anywhere you go. And you need to first find the love within yourself, right? In your own heart, and then go out and spread it to the world. I think traveling is a wonderful way to do that. And the phrase, you don't know how much you appreciate something until you lose it, right? And people have temporarily lost, the traveling. But it's coming back, like you said, here in certain parts of the world, and hopefully soon. So that's a beautiful thing. And leaving a legacy, right? Memories that you leave behind. for your loved ones and things you've accomplished through traveling and connecting with the world. So I think it's a very beautiful thing. If anyone has any questions for the show today, for our guests, anything they want to ask us, they can reach us at 310-226-8090. Visit us at loveuniversity.love. Write to us at loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. Again, Dave and Deb, it's been a wonderful pleasure to have you on the show, and definitely want to have you back. I want to hear more about your new travels, right? You guys are going to be doing, hopefully, and new adventures and also activities. And have you been to California before?
We have.
I love California.
Okay, so hopefully we can maybe see you when you guys are in town here. And
That sounds
We have so many friends in California. We're thinking if we can't travel overseas this year, we're going to do a road trip to the United States if they'll let us in.
That sounds
We'll open the
good. Look
border.
forward to seeing you. We can mentally travel until then, right? And visualize all the great fun we're going to have.
traveling.
Yeah.
Until next time, thank you for coming on. This is Dr. Alex Avila, Love University. Yes. Say the last thing, Deb. What did you say?
I said, thanks so much for having us. We had an amazing time as well, and I'd love to come back anytime.
That's right. This is Dr. Alex Avila. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
That was a really fun interview. I think it's one of the funnest interviews I had with Dave and Deb, the travel internationally known couple, to give us great shows on traveling and basically how to really reach out to people, how to connect with the world and realize that we are really all one. We're not separated as we think we are, or lonely or isolated, but really the world has a lot in common. Many people in the world, we all have our dreams, our sufferings, our pains, but also our joys, our happiness, and our love. So if you want to reach us, again, Love University students, you can write to us at loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. You can like us on Facebook at Love University Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Love Letter U Podcast. You can subscribe to us on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. 310-226-8090 is our phone number. So go out there and travel, even if it's a short little trip. Maybe it's your neighborhood, depending on where you live in the world. Maybe it's a longer trip. And then eventually plan a trip that's longer, maybe even a year. Some people go to Mecca, who believe in a certain religion. They go to the Holy Land. They go to Europe. They go to Asia. They study interesting things, art, architecture, and spirituality. But the key is travel within your mind first and then travel within the world and give love everywhere you go. Until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila. Put away your notebook, your iPads, your phones, and we'll see you next time.